Well, well, look at this uppity boy in his fancy suit thinking he belongs in our neighborhood. Officer Ryan Mitchell's voice drips with contempt as he approaches Marcus Thompson. Without warning, Mitchell's baton strikes Marcus's knee. Marcus buckles, crying out as he crashes face first onto the scorching asphalt with a bone-jarring thud. That's where you belong, on the ground with the rest of the trash. Mitchell's boot presses into Marcus's neck. The Navy ceremony suits tears as concrete scrapes against skin. Blood pools beneath Marcus's face, the metallic taste mixing with grit and gasoline fumes. Officer Emma Kane kicks Marcus's ribs. Teach this boy some respect for his betters. Shocked gasps pierce the morning air. Phone cameras emerge as witnesses freeze in horror, watching this savage beating unfold under the blazing California sun. It's 10:30 a.m. at the Shell station on Main Street, Riverside. This isn't just police brutality. It's about to become the most expensive mistake in law enforcement history. The morning sun beats down mercilessly on Riverside, California, where the American dream collides with harsh reality at 10:30 a.m. on a Tuesday that will change everything. Just 30 minutes earlier, Marcus Thompson stood in City Hall's marble chamber, raising his right hand as Mayor Patricia Williams administered the oath of office. The scent of fresh flowers from the ceremony still lingered on his navy suit as camera flashes illuminated his proud smile. I, Marcus Thompson, do solemnly swear to serve and protect all citizens of Riverside with honor, dignity, and justice for all. The applause echoed through the packed chamber. City council members, department brass, and community leaders witnessed history. Riverside's first black police chief taking command of a 400 officer department plagued by scandal. Local news crews captured every moment, broadcasting live to thousands of viewers across Southern California. Now, blood from his split lip stains the same concrete where mothers buy gas before school drop-offs. The irony tastes bitter as copper pennies. Marcus had planned this morning carefully. After the ceremony, he would drive home, change into his crisp new uniform, and begin his first official day implementing the reform agenda that got him hired. The Honda Accord wasn't flashy, a deliberate choice to show fiscal responsibility. Every decision calculated to build trust with a community tired of police excess. Officer Ryan Mitchell started his shift at 6 a.m., 4.5 hours before the swearing-in ceremony he never knew was happening. Radio chatter filled the patrol car with domestic violence calls, traffic accidents, and petty theft reports. The busy morning kept him focused on immediate problems, not department politics or morning news broadcasts. His partner Emma Kane shared his resentment toward the outsider everyone whispered about. They'd heard rumors, some reformer from Oakland coming to fix their department. Neither bothered watching local news or reading department emails about the new chief's background. Why care about another politician's pet project? The Shell station on Main Street sits in Riverside's professional district, surrounded by law offices, medical practices, and small businesses. Glass buildings reflect California sunshine, while palm trees line perfectly maintained sidewalks. This neighborhood represents everything the officers believe certain people don't deserve to access. At Pump 3, Jennifer Martinez finishes filling her minivan. She watched Marcus's swearing-in ceremony live on Channel 7 while getting ready for work. The irony hits her immediately. The man bleeding on concrete is the same person who promised to protect her children just hours ago. Her phone trembles as she starts recording, the screen capturing Mitchell's boot pressed against their new police chief's neck. Store manager Carlos Mendez watched the ceremony coverage while preparing for the morning rush. He recognizes Marcus instantly through the security monitor. His hands shake as he realizes the magnitude of what's unfolding. The gas station's 8 HD cameras are capturing every second of this career-ending mistake. Dr. Sarah Carter pumps gas at Pump 5, still wearing scrubs from her overnight shift at Riverside General. She performed surgery until 7 a.m., then caught the ceremony rebroadcast during breakfast. The contrast between Marcus's dignified oath and his current humiliation on hot asphalt makes her stomach turn. She dials 911, though police are already here, committing the crime. The morning commuter crowd creates the perfect storm of witnesses. Parents dropping kids at school, lawyers heading to court, nurses ending night shifts, all capturing police brutality in real time. Social media notifications ping constantly as videos upload automatically to Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. Officer Rodriguez pulls up in Patrol Car 23, responding to Mitchell's backup request. She glimpses something familiar about the bloodied man in the expensive suit, but can't place it yet. The nagging feeling grows stronger as she approaches the scene. The Shell Station's surveillance system represents cutting-edge technology installed after a robbery 3 months ago. 8 cameras capture every angle in crystal-clear 4K resolution with audio recording. The footage will become Exhibit A in federal court, each frame documenting the systematic violation of Marcus's civil rights. Traffic slows on Main Street as drivers crane their necks to see the commotion. School buses pause at red lights, children pressing faces against windows to watch their new police chief bleeding on concrete. The symbolism isn't lost on anyone. This is exactly why Riverside needed reform. The morning heat intensifies, asphalt temperature climbing toward 100 degrees. Marcus's face burns against the scorching surface while his ceremony pin scrapes across rough concrete. The American flag emblem, symbol of justice and equality, now collects dirt and gravel. In 30 minutes, everything will change. But right now, in this moment, frozen in time and captured by dozens of cameras, Marcus Thompson experiences the same brutality that brought him to Riverside in the first place. The very problem he was hired to solve is happening to him, creating the perfect catalyst for the transformation no one saw coming. The stage is set, the witnesses are recording, and karma is about to deliver the most poetic justice in law enforcement history. Mitchell's boot grinds harder into Marcus's neck as Officer Rodriguez approaches. The sound of gravel scraping against skin mingles with morning traffic noise. "What have we got here, Mitchell?" Rodriguez calls out, her voice carrying across the gas station parking lot. "Another one of these thugs trying to look respectable," Mitchell shouts back, loud enough for every customer to hear. His words echo off the concrete canopy above the pumps. Found him acting suspicious, probably causing the place for robbery. Marcus tries to speak, but Mitchell's weight crushes his windpipe. The taste of blood and hot asphalt fills his mouth. Around them, the smell of gasoline intensifies as more cars pull up to witness the spectacle. Emma Kane circles Marcus like a predator, her hand resting on her weapon. "Look at this expensive suit," she announces to the growing crowd. "No way he earned money for clothes like that, honestly." She kicks his briefcase, sending ceremony programs scattering across the pavement. Papers flutter in the morning breeze, some landing in puddles of spilled gasoline. Jennifer Martinez at Pump 3 continues recording, her hands shaking. "This is wrong," she whispers to her phone camera. "That man was just sworn in as police chief this morning." But her voice is too quiet for the officers to hear over the traffic noise. Mitchell finally lifts his boot, allowing Marcus to gasp for air. "Get up slowly," he commands. "Any sudden movements, and you'll be eating concrete again." The threat hangs in the air like the acrid smell of car exhaust. Marcus pushes himself up carefully, his navy suit now torn and stained with blood. Gravel embeds in his palms as he stands, dignity intact despite the humiliation. "Officers," he says quietly, "I believe there's been a misunderstanding." "Misunderstanding?" Kane laughs harshly. "The only misunderstanding is you thinking you can afford to shop in this neighborhood." She gestures broadly at the professional district surrounding them. "This isn't the ghetto, boy. You don't belong here." Dr. Sarah Carter at Pump 5 steps closer, her medical training kicking in as she notices Marcus's injuries. "Excuse me, officers, but this man needs medical attention. He's bleeding." Mitchell whirls around. "Ma'am, step back. This subject is dangerous and possibly armed." His voice carries the authority of someone used to intimidating citizens into compliance. "Armed with what?" Dr. Carter challenges. "A briefcase full of papers?" Kane moves toward Dr. Carter aggressively. "Are you interfering with a police investigation? Because that's a crime." The threat is clear, her hand moving closer to her handcuffs. Carlos Mendez emerges from the store, unable to stay silent any longer. The automatic doors whoosh open as he approaches the scene. "Officers, I need to tell you something important about this gentleman." "Get back inside," Mitchell roars. "This is police business." His spit flies as he shouts, droplets catching the sunlight. But Carlos persists, his accent thickening with nervousness. "This man, he was on the television this morning. He is the new—" Kane cuts him off with a sharp gesture. "Sir, I'm ordering you to return to your store immediately or you'll be arrested for obstruction of justice. The threat works. Carlos retreats reluctantly, but his security cameras continue recording every word, every gesture, every violation of Marcus's rights. Rodriguez studies Marcus more carefully as he straightens his torn jacket. Something about his face nags at her memory. "Sir, what's your name?" she asks, her tone slightly less aggressive than her colleagues. "Marcus Thompson," he replies calmly, maintaining eye contact despite the blood trickling down his chin. "Thompson." Rodriguez repeats, the name triggering something in her memory, but Mitchell interrupts before she can pursue the thought. "Mr. Thompson," Mitchell says mockingly, "you're going to explain what you're really doing in this neighborhood, and don't give us some story about legitimate business." Marcus reaches slowly into his jacket pocket. "I have identification." "Hands where I can see them!" Kane screams, drawing her weapon partially. The metallic sound of the gun leaving its holster makes several customers gasp and step backward. "I'm reaching for my wallet," Marcus explains patiently. "Nothing else." Mitchell snatches the wallet before Marcus can fully extract it. He examines the driver's license with exaggerated suspicion. "Say you live on Hillcrest Drive. That's a pretty expensive street for someone like you." "Someone like me?" Marcus asks quietly. "Don't play dumb," Kane interjects. You know exactly what he means. A businessman in a Mercedes at Pump 8 overhears the exchange. He recognizes the address. Hillcrest Drive houses doctors, lawyers, and other professionals. His phone is already recording as he realizes something very wrong is happening. Mitchell flips through Marcus's wallet, finding credit cards and business cards. "Look at this," he announces loudly. He's got cards claiming to be some kind of law enforcement officer. Rodriguez perks up. "Law enforcement? What agency?" Marcus speaks carefully. "I work for the Riverside Police Department." The words hang in the air like smoke. Kane and Mitchell exchange glances, their expressions shifting from suspicion to mockery. "Riverside PD." Kane laughs so hard she snorts. "Right, and I'm the FBI director." Mitchell examines Marcus's police ID with theatrical disbelief. "This is the worst fake badge I've ever seen. Look at this craftsmanship. Obviously homemade." "It's not fake," Marcus says simply. "Sure it's not," Mitchell replies sarcastically. "I suppose you're going to tell us you're a detective next." Marcus chooses his words carefully. "I hold a supervisory position with the department." Kane doubles over with laughter. "Supervisory position? This guy's comedy gold. What's next? You're the chief of police?" The irony hits like a physical blow, but Marcus remains silent. Around them, witnesses continue recording, creating an ever-growing archive of evidence. A lawyer from the adjacent office building approaches cautiously. "Officers, I watched this man's swearing-in ceremony this morning on television. I believe you may want to verify his identity." Mitchell turns his aggression toward the new witness. "Sir, criminals often impersonate public officials. It's a common scam." "But the ceremony was live," the lawyer begins. "Are you this suspect's attorney?" Kane demands. "No, but..." "Then step back before you're arrested as an accomplice." The lawyer retreats but continues watching, his legal mind cataloging every civil rights violation unfolding before his eyes. Rodriguez pulls out her radio. "Dispatch, can you run a name for me? Marcus Thompson, DOB?" She reads the information from his license. The radio crackles to life. "Unit 23, Marcus Thompson shows a clean record, no wants or warrants. The registered address matches the license." Mitchell dismisses the information immediately. "That just proves he hasn't been caught yet. Run his prints. Bet you'll find a different story." Marcus watches the scene unfold with growing concern. Each passing minute makes the situation worse, but revealing his true identity now might look like a desperate lie. He decides to let events play out, gathering evidence of the very problems he was hired to fix. The morning sun climbs higher, intensifying the heat radiating from the concrete. Sweat mixes with blood on Marcus's face as more customers arrive for gas, each one immediately drawn into the drama unfolding at Pump 7. A school bus stops at the nearby red light. Children press their faces against windows, watching their new police chief being humiliated by his own officers. The symbolism is perfect and horrifying. The next generation witnessing exactly why their community needs change. Kane keys her radio. Dispatch, we need a supervisor to respond to our location for a possible impersonation of a police officer. Copy, Unit 47. Supervisor en route. Marcus closes his eyes briefly. In 10 minutes, Sergeant Williams will arrive and recognize him immediately. The charade will end, but the damage is already done. Every second of this encounter is being recorded, creating the perfect evidence for the federal case that will inevitably follow. The confrontation intensifies as more officers arrive, more witnesses gather, and more cameras capture the systematic destruction of 4 police careers happening in real time under the blazing California sun. The sound of additional sirens pierces the morning air as 2 more patrol cars screech into the Shell Station parking lot. Officers David Carter and Lisa Rodriguez jump out, hands instinctively moving toward their weapons as they assess the scene. "What's the situation?" Carter calls out, his boots crunching on scattered gravel as he approaches. Mitchell kicks Marcus's briefcase again, sending more ceremony programs flying. "Got ourselves a real winner here, Carter. This piece of garbage is claiming to be a cop with fake badges and everything." Kane grabs Marcus's arm roughly, her fingernails digging into his skin through the torn suit fabric. "Turn around and put your hands on the car. We're doing this the hard way since you want to play games." The smell of fear mingles with gasoline fumes as Marcus complies, placing his palms against the sun-heated metal of his Honda. The surface burns his hands, but he doesn't flinch. Around them, the crowd of witnesses grows larger, phones held high like torches in the bright daylight. "Search him thoroughly," Mitchell orders Kane. "These types always hide drugs or weapons somewhere." Kane's hands roam aggressively over Marcus's body, her search far more invasive than necessary. She empties his pockets, throwing his belongings onto the concrete with deliberate disrespect. His keys clatter against the pavement, the metallic sound echoing under the gas station canopy. "Look what we got here," Kane announces triumphantly, holding up Marcus's police radio. The device crackles with dispatcher chatter, official communications flowing through its speaker. Real sophisticated fake equipment. Dr. Sarah Carter at Pump 5 raises her voice above the growing murmur of the crowd. "That radio sounds authentic to me. I hear the same chatter when officers come to the hospital." Rodriguez turns toward her aggressively. "Ma'am, unless you're a police equipment expert, keep your opinions to yourself." "I'm a doctor," Dr. Carter replies firmly. "And I'm watching you assault an injured man who needs medical attention." Mitchell steps toward her menacingly. "Doctor, your medical license won't protect you if you interfere with police business. Back away now." The threat works momentarily, but Dr. Carter continues recording, her phone capturing every word of the intimidation. Chen opens Marcus's car door without permission, the hinges creaking in the morning heat. Let's see what other contraband this fake cop is hiding. He begins rifling through the interior, tossing papers and personal items onto the ground like trash. "Officers," Marcus says quietly, "I do not consent to a search of my vehicle." Kane laughs harshly. "Consent? That's rich coming from a criminal with fake police credentials." She kicks his legs wider apart, forcing him into a more humiliating position against the car. From the glove compartment, Carter pulls out an official-looking document. "Well, well, looks like our boy here has a whole collection of fake paperwork." He waves it in the air like a trophy. Jennifer Martinez at Pump 3 zooms in with her phone camera, trying to read the document. Her heart pounds as she recognizes the official seal. It's Marcus's FBI National Academy graduation certificate, the same one featured in this morning's news coverage. "That's his FBI training certificate," she calls out. "I saw it on the news this morning." Mitchell whirls around, his face red with anger. "Lady, you need to shut your mouth and mind your own business before you get arrested too." The threat silences Jennifer momentarily, but her phone continues recording. On social media, her live stream already has 50 viewers watching the confrontation unfold in real time. Rodriguez examines Marcus more closely, that nagging feeling of recognition growing stronger. Something about his profile, the way he carries himself despite the humiliation, seems familiar. "Sir, have we met before?" "I don't believe so," Marcus replies diplomatically. Kane snorts derisively. "Of course he's going to deny it. Probably has outstanding warrants under a different name." Chen continues searching the car, pulling out Marcus's duty weapon from its lockbox in the trunk. "Jesus Christ, look at this! He's got a real police-issued Glock in here!" The gun gleams in the sunlight as Carter holds it up for everyone to see. Probably stolen, Mitchell declares immediately. Run the serial number, bet it comes back hot. The businessman at the pump is 8 steps closer, his legal training kicking in. Officers, shouldn't you be reading him his rights if you're making an arrest? He's not under arrest, Kane snaps. He's being detained for investigation. Investigation of what specific crime? The businessman presses. Mitchell's jaw tightens. Impersonating a police officer, possession of stolen government property, and whatever else we find when we dig deeper into this scumbag's background. Carlos Mendez watches from inside the store, his hands pressed against the glass door. The security monitor shows all 8 camera angles capturing the systematic destruction of Marcus's dignity. He knows he should speak up again, but Kane's earlier threat still echoes in his mind. The radio chatter grows more intense as additional units receive updates about the officer impersonation case. Sergeant Williams's voice crackles through. All units, I'm en route to Shell Station on Main Street. ETA is 5 minutes. Rodriguez perks up at the mention of their supervisor. Sarge is coming. This should get sorted out quickly. Marcus's stomach tightens. In 5 minutes, this charade will end explosively. He considers revealing his identity now to minimize the fallout, but the researcher in him wants to see how far these officers will go. This is invaluable data about the department's culture. A news van from Channel 7 turns into the gas station parking lot, its satellite dish gleaming in the morning sun. Reporter Sarah Kim jumps out with her cameraman, having received multiple tips from viewers who recognized Marcus from the morning ceremony coverage. Oh, shit, Kane mutters under her breath. The media's here. Mitchell tries to wave them away. This is an active crime scene. You need to leave immediately. But Sarah Kim approaches with her camera rolling. Officers, we're receiving reports that you've arrested the man who was just sworn in as police chief this morning. Can you comment? The words hit like lightning strikes. All 4 officers freeze simultaneously, the reality of their situation beginning to dawn. Carter drops Marcus's police ID, the plastic clattering against concrete. Rodriguez stares at Sarah Kim in shock. What did you just say? Marcus Thompson, Sarah continues, was sworn in as Riverside Police Chief at 9 a.m. this morning. Our station covered the ceremony live. Kane's face drains of color. That's impossible. Sarah shows them her phone, the screen displaying Marcus's swearing-in ceremony. This is our footage from 2 hours ago. Same man, same Navy suit, same flag pin. The silence stretches like a taut wire ready to snap. Traffic continues flowing past, but at the gas station, time stops. 4 police careers hover on the edge of complete destruction as the magnitude of their mistake becomes clear. Mitchell stares at the phone screen, then at Marcus, then back at the screen. His hands begin shaking as connections form in his brain. No, this can't be happening. Chen backs away from the car, suddenly afraid to touch anything else. We need to call this off right now. But Rodriguez points toward the street. Too late. Here comes Sergeant Williams. The patrol car bearing their supervisor approaches slowly, Williams visible through the windshield. In 30 seconds, she'll step out and see Marcus Thompson, her new boss, handcuffed and bloodied beside his searched vehicle, surrounded by evidence of the most catastrophic police mistake in Riverside history. The morning sun beats down mercilessly as 4 careers enter their final moments, captured by security cameras, news crews, and dozens of citizen journalists whose videos are already going viral across social media platforms. Everything is about to change forever. Sergeant Williams parks her patrol car and opens the door. Her boot touches the asphalt just as Marcus straightens up from his humiliating position against the Honda. Their eyes meet across 20 feet of concrete that might as well be the Grand Canyon. The explosion is about to begin. Sergeant Williams steps out of her patrol car, her coffee cup freezing halfway to her lips as recognition hits like a sledgehammer. The ceramic mug slips from her fingers, shattering against the asphalt with a sharp crack that echoes across the suddenly silent gas station. What the hell? She breathes, her voice barely audible over the morning traffic. Sarah Kim thrusts her phone toward the officers, the ceremony footage playing on repeat. This is your new police chief, Marcus Thompson, sworn in at City Hall 90 minutes ago. Mitchell stares at the screen, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and dawning horror. The blood drains from his cheeks as he realizes the man he just assaulted is wearing the same Navy suit, the same flag pin, the same dignified expression from the live television broadcast. No, 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 no! Kane screams, her voice cracking with hysteria. She backs away from Marcus as if he's radioactive. This isn't happening! This can't be happening! Rodriguez fumbles with her keys, trying desperately to unlock Marcus's handcuffs. Her hands shake so violently the metal clanks against concrete. Chief Thompson, sir, I am so incredibly sorry. Please, we didn't know. You didn't know what? Marcus asks quietly, straightening his torn jacket with remarkable composure. His voice carries a calm authority that makes every officer freeze. You didn't know that assaulting citizens is wrong? Chen stumbles backward, nearly tripping over his own feet. Sir, there was a misunderstanding. We thought... You thought what, Officer Carter? Marcus's eyes sweep across the four officers like a prosecutor addressing a jury. That a black man in a nice suit must be a criminal? The crowd of witnesses erupts in murmurs and gasps. Phones capture every word as the power dynamic shifts completely. Marcus is no longer the victim. He's the commanding officer whose authority these officers just destroyed. Sergeant Williams approaches slowly, her face ashen. Chief Thompson, on behalf of the entire department, I apologize for... Marcus raises his hand, stopping her mid-sentence. Sergeant Williams, thank you for arriving. Your officers have provided me with an excellent first-hand look at the problems we need to address. Mitchell tries desperately to salvage the situation. Chief, sir, if we had known who you were... If you had known? Marcus's voice sharpens like a blade. So your behavior would have been different if I were someone important. Is that your defense, Officer Mitchell? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Around them, witnesses lean closer, sensing the moment when justice begins to turn. Kane collapses against a gas pump, sobbing hysterically. My career! My pension! Oh God, what have we done? You've shown me exactly what type of officer you are, Marcus replies with devastating calm. The type who sees skin color before humanity, the type who assumes guilt before innocence, the type who assaults first and asks questions never. Carlos Mendez finally emerges from the store, his voice shaking with vindication. I tried to tell them. 3 times I tried to tell them you were the new chief. They threatened to arrest me. Dr. Sarah Carter steps forward, her medical training overriding her fear. Chief Thompson, you need medical attention. That cut on your lip requires cleaning, and you may have a concussion from hitting the pavement. Marcus touches his split lip gingerly, the blood now dried in the California heat. Thank you, Doctor. But first, I need to address this situation. He turns to face the Channel 7 camera directly. My name is Marcus Thompson. 2 hours ago, I was sworn in as police chief of Riverside. 30 minutes ago, I stopped for gas on my way home to change into my uniform for my first official day. The camera captures every word as Marcus continues with quiet authority. Instead, I experienced firsthand the very problems I was hired to solve. I was assaulted, humiliated, and searched illegally based solely on the color of my skin. Rodriguez finally succeeds in removing the handcuffs, the metal clicking open with a sound like freedom. Marcus rubs his wrists where the cuffs left red marks on his dark skin. Officer Rodriguez, he says, calls internal affairs immediately. All 4 officers will be placed on administrative leave pending a full investigation. Chief, please, Mitchell begs, dropping to his knees on the hot asphalt. We have families, mortgages, and kids in college. Can't we work this out departmentally? Marcus looks down at the man who moments ago had his boot pressed against his neck. Officer Mitchell, did you consider my family when you threw me face first onto concrete? Did you think about my dignity when you called me trash? The businessman at Pump 8 approaches respectfully. Chief Thompson, I'm attorney James Walsh. I recorded everything. This was clearly a civil rights violation. Thank you, Mr. Walsh, Marcus replies. Please forward that footage to the FBI Civil Rights Division. They'll want to review this incident thoroughly. The words FBI make Kane wail louder. Carter sits down heavily on the curb, his head in his hands. Mitchell remains on his knees, staring at his destroyed career with hollow eyes. Sarah Kim continues her live broadcast. We're witnessing an extraordinary moment where police officers have just realized they assaulted their own chief. The implications for police reform in Riverside are staggering. Marcus addresses the camera one final time. Today was supposed to be about hope. Hope for better police-community relations, hope for accountability, hope for change. Instead, it became a perfect demonstration of why that change is so desperately needed. He looks directly at the four officers. You gave me something invaluable today. Absolute proof that the problems in this department run deeper than I imagined. Thank you for that clarity. The power reversal is complete. In 90 minutes, Marcus Thompson has gone from assault victim to the most powerful law enforcement official in the county. And 4 officers have gone from predators to prey, their careers lying in ruins under the unforgiving California sun. The wail of additional sirens fills the air as internal affairs vehicles race toward the Shell station. The acrid smell of burning rubber mixes with gasoline fumes as Captain Foster's unmarked sedan screeches into the parking lot, followed by IA Sergeant Williams in her official vehicle. Captain Foster steps out, her face grim as she surveys the scene. The sound of her boots on concrete echoes with authority as she approaches Marcus, who stands beside his damaged Honda, blood still visible on his torn suit. "Chief Thompson," she says formally, her voice carrying across the crowded gas station. "I've been monitoring radio traffic. What's your status?" Marcus touches his split lip gingerly. "Physically, I'll survive. Professionally, this has been quite educational." His calm demeanor contrasts sharply with the chaos surrounding them. Mitchell huddles against Patrol Car 47, his uniform soaked with sweat despite the morning hour. The smell of fear emanates from him like a physical presence. "Captain, please, if I could just explain—" "Officer Mitchell," Foster cuts him off sharply. "You will speak only when directly questioned by Internal Affairs. Is that understood?" Kane continues sobbing against the gas pump, her makeup streaking black lines down her cheeks. The sound of her hyperventilation mingles with the hum of traffic as rush hour builds around them. IA Sergeant Williams produces a digital recorder, its red light blinking ominously in the bright sunlight. All 4 officers will be separated immediately for individual interviews. No communication between subjects until the investigation concludes. Rodriguez approaches Marcus hesitantly. "Chief, sir, I want you to know that I recognize something was wrong. I tried to—" Marcus holds up his hand. "Officer Rodriguez, save your statements for Internal Affairs. Everything you say now is being recorded by multiple cameras. Indeed, the scene has transformed into a media circus. 3 news vans now occupy the gas station parking lot, their satellite dishes reaching toward the sky like technological trees. The clicking of camera shutters creates a constant rhythm beneath the morning noise. Carlos Mendez emerges from the store carrying a first aid kit, the red cross visible on its white plastic case. "Chief Thompson, please let me clean that cut. You've been bleeding for almost an hour." "Thank you, Carlos," Marcus says gratefully. The antiseptic stings as Carlos dabs the wound, but Marcus doesn't flinch. Around them, witnesses continue recording, creating an ever-growing digital archive of this historic moment. Dr. Sarah Carter checks Marcus's pupils with a small flashlight. "Pupils are equal and reactive. No signs of serious head trauma, but you should get a CT scan to be safe." Captain Foster begins the formal process. "Officers Mitchell, Kane, Carter, and Rodriguez, you are hereby placed on administrative leave without pay, effective immediately. Surrender your badges, weapons, and department-issued equipment." The metallic sounds of badges hitting concrete create a funeral rhythm. Mitchell's hands shake as he removes his weapon, the gun trembling before he places it on the patrol car hood. Kane's badge falls from her fingers, clattering against the asphalt with finality. "My kids! How do I explain this to my kids?" Chen sits motionless on the curb, staring at his hands. The reality of unemployment, of federal investigation, of potential prison time settles over him like a heavy blanket in the California heat. Sarah Kim continues her live broadcast, her voice urgent with breaking news energy. "We're watching careers end in real time as 4 Riverside police officers face the consequences of assaulting their own chief." Marcus's phone buzzes constantly with notifications. Text messages, calls, social media alerts. The story is spreading like wildfire across the internet. #Riverside Police Chief trends nationally within minutes. Attorney James Walsh approaches with business cards. "Chief Thompson, I specialize in civil rights law. This incident constitutes multiple federal violations. 42 U.S.C. 1983, conspiracy against rights, deprivation of civil rights under color of law. Thank you, Mr. Walsh, Marcus replies. I suspect the FBI will be very interested in this case. The mention of the FBI makes Mitchell's knees buckle. He grabs the patrol car for support, the metal burning his palms in the intensifying heat. Captain Foster's radio crackles with urgent communications. All units, be advised the mayor and city council are requesting an immediate briefing on the Main Street incident. Media requests flooding the switchboard. Marcus looks around at the chaos he never intended to create. Witnesses, reporters, investigators, and his own officers, all drawn into this moment that will reshape everything. Captain Foster, he says quietly, scheduled a department-wide meeting for this afternoon. Every officer needs to understand that this represents a new era of accountability. Foster nods grimly. Yes, sir. What about the media? Marcus straightens his torn jacket, preparing to face the cameras that will broadcast this moment across the nation. The media gets the truth. All of it. The morning sun climbs higher, but the real heat is just beginning. 3 weeks later, the federal courthouse in downtown Los Angeles buzzes with unprecedented energy. The morning sun streams through tall windows as FBI agent Patricia Morgan carries boxes of evidence up marble steps, worn smooth by decades of justice seekers. The metallic sound of handcuffs echoes through the hallway as Mitchell, Kane, and Carter enter in orange jumpsuits. The smell of industrial disinfectant mingles with fear sweat as they shuffle past reporters whose camera flashes illuminate their downfall. U.S. Attorney David Harrison addresses the packed courtroom. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, what you're about to see represents the most documented case of police brutality in California history. 8 security cameras, 47 cell phone videos, and live television coverage captured every moment of this systematic violation of civil rights. The prosecution's evidence table groans under the weight of documentation. Digital tablets display video files while printed transcripts stack 3 feet high. The paper rustles as court reporters prepare for what promises to be a landmark trial. Marcus sits in the front row, his presence commanding respect from everyone in the courtroom. The scar on his lip has healed but remains visible, a permanent reminder of that morning at the Shell station. He wears the same Navy suit, now professionally repaired, as a symbol of resilience. The first video plays on courtroom monitors. The jury watches in horrified silence as Mitchell's boot crashes into Marcus's knee, sending him face first onto scorching asphalt. Gasps echo through the chamber as the assault unfolds in crystal-clear high definition. Juror number 7, a retired teacher, covers her mouth in shock. The sound of Marcus hitting concrete reverberates through speakers, each impact making spectators flinch. Even the bailiff, hardened by years of criminal proceedings, shakes his head in disgust. Defense attorney Robert Carter, no relation to Officer Carter, attempts damage control. Ladies and gentlemen, my clients made a tragic mistake in judgment. They sincerely believed they were protecting the community from a suspicious individual. The words ring hollow against the overwhelming evidence. Video after video shows the officers' racist commentary, their deliberate escalation, their refusal to listen to witnesses who tried to identify Marcus. Marcus takes the witness stand with quiet dignity. His voice carries clearly through the courtroom sound system as he describes the morning that changed everything. The physical pain lasted hours. The humiliation will last forever. But the education was invaluable. He looks directly at the defendants. These officers showed me exactly what citizens in my community face every day. They gave me the clarity I needed to understand the depth of reform required. Kane breaks down sobbing in her chair. The sound echoes off courtroom walls as she realizes the magnitude of her destruction. Her defense attorney passes tissues while preparing for what he knows will be an impossible case to win. The jury deliberation lasts exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes. Court reporter Sandra Martinez notes the time precisely as Foreman Williams announces their return. The silence in the courtroom is deafening as everyone awaits the verdict that will reshape American policing. On the charge of conspiracy against civil rights under federal law, we find defendant Ryan Mitchell guilty. The word guilty reverberates through the chamber like a gunshot. Gasps and murmurs ripple through the packed gallery. On the charge of deprivation of civil rights under color of law, we find defendant Emma Kane guilty. Kane collapses completely, her sobs mixing with the shocked reactions of spectators. The bailiff moves closer, anticipating the need for medical intervention. On the charge of conspiracy and failure to intervene, we find defendant David Carter, guilty. Chen stares straight ahead, his face blank with shock. The reality of federal prison time settles over him like a death shroud in the air-conditioned courtroom. 3 weeks later, Judge Patricia Williams, no relation to Sergeant Williams, delivers sentences that will echo through law enforcement history. The gavel's sound rings with finality as she addresses each defendant. Mr. Mitchell, your leadership in this assault demands the harshest punishment. 7 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years supervised release and lifetime ban from law enforcement. Mitchell's legs give out. He grabs the defense table for support, the wood creaking under his weight as his world collapses completely. Miss Kane, your enthusiastic participation in this brutality warrants 5 years federal imprisonment, 500 hours community service in minority communities, and permanent law enforcement prohibition. Kane's wailing fills the courtroom. The sound bounces off marble walls as her mother weeps in the gallery, watching her daughter's life disintegrate in real time. Mr. Carter, while your role was supportive rather than leading, your failure to intervene enabled this violation. 2 years home confinement with ankle monitoring and lifetime law enforcement ban. The electronic monitoring device will become Carter's constant companion, a daily reminder of the career he destroyed with his cowardice and complicity. Judge Williams continues with institutional consequences. Furthermore, the Riverside Police Department will operate under federal consent decree for 5 years, supervised by court-appointed monitors with full access to all operations. Marcus receives $6.8 million in civil settlement, money he immediately pledges to police reform initiatives nationwide. The check-signing ceremony takes place at the same Shell station where his assault occurred, surrounded by community leaders and reform advocates. The ripple effects spread across America like wildfire. Within 6 months, the Thompson Protocol became mandatory training in over 300 police departments. Federal funding for police departments becomes contingent on bias training completion and civilian oversight implementation. Congress passes the Chief Thompson Civil Rights Protection Act, requiring federal intervention in cases of systematic police misconduct. The bill signing ceremony at the White House features Marcus standing beside the president as cameras flash and history is made. Marcus's book, Dignity Under Fire, Leading Change in Law Enforcement, debuts at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. Book signings draw crowds of thousands as his message of reform through accountability resonates nationwide. The Shell station on Main Street becomes an unofficial pilgrimage site for police reform advocates. A small plaque near Pump 7 reads, "On this spot, accountability began." Visitors leave flowers and signs supporting justice and equality. Riverside Police Department transforms into a national model. Use of force incidents drops 78% within the first year. Community approval ratings soar to 92%, the highest in California. Officers compete for positions in what becomes known as the Thompson model of ethical policing. Marcus receives the Presidential Medal of Freedom 18 months after his assault. Standing in the Rose Garden, he reflects on the journey from victim to change agent, from concrete faceplant to national symbol of hope. The morning sun that witnessed his humiliation now illuminates his triumph. Justice isn't just served, it's institutionalized, systematized, and spread across a nation hungry for change. In federal prison, Mitchell serves his sentence while contemplating the moment his racism destroyed everything he built. Kane counsels at-risk youth about consequences and choices. Carter works in social services, forever marked by his failure to do right when it mattered most. But Marcus Thompson stands in the Rose Garden, medal gleaming in sunshine, proof that sometimes the worst moments become the foundation for the greatest achievements in human history. 2 years after that fateful morning, Marcus Thompson stands in the same Shell station where his world changed forever. The California sun streams through spotless windows as he addresses a crowd of police chiefs from across America, gathered for the annual Justice and Dignity Conference. The smell of fresh coffee mingles with morning air as he gestures toward Pump 7, now marked with a bronze plaque reading, "Where Accountability Began, October 8, 2025. Visitors from around the world have worn the concrete smooth with their footsteps, pilgrims seeking inspiration at this unlikely shrine to justice. This gas pump became my classroom, Marcus tells the assembled chiefs, his voice carrying clearly in the morning stillness. It taught me that reform isn't about policy papers or training manuals. It's about human dignity, preserved or destroyed in moments like these. Carlos Mendez emerges from the store, now the proud owner after the Shell Corporation gifted him the franchise in recognition of his courage. The automatic doors whoosh open as he approaches with a fresh cup of coffee for Marcus, their daily ritual when Marcus visits this sacred ground. Every morning I come here, Marcus continues. I remember the taste of concrete and blood. I remember feeling helpless while wearing a badge that should command respect. But I also remember the moment when truth emerged, when justice began its work. Dr. Sarah Carter approaches from her Tesla at Pump 3, still in scrubs from her night shift. She's become a close friend and advocate, serving on Marcus's civilian oversight board. The morning light catches her smile as she waves, a reminder that heroes come in all forms. The Riverside Police Department has transformed beyond recognition. Officer Rodriguez, now Detective Rodriguez, leads the bias prevention unit that trains departments nationwide. She approaches respectfully, her sergeant's stripes gleaming in the sunshine. "Chief," she says quietly, "the recruit class wants to know if you'll speak to them about that morning." Marcus nods. "Tell them the story isn't about perfection. It's about accountability. It's about learning from our lowest moments to reach our highest potential." In federal prison, Mitchell serves year 3 of his 7-year sentence. His cell contains newspaper clippings about Marcus's achievements, a reminder of the man he assaulted and the change his hatred inadvertently sparked. The irony tastes bitter in the recycled prison air. Kane, released after 4 years, works with at-risk youth in Oakland. She speaks to teenagers about consequences, about how 30 seconds of hatred destroyed decades of plans. Her voice shakes when she describes watching Marcus bleed on concrete, knowing she caused that suffering. Chen completes his home confinement, but remains forever changed. He volunteers at community centers, teaching conflict resolution and witnessing firsthand the communities his cowardice had harmed. The ankle monitor is gone, but the shame remains, heavy as California humidity. The transformation spreads like ripples across America's law enforcement landscape. The Thompson Protocol is now standard training in 47 states. Police academies require candidates to watch the Shell Station footage, analyzing each decision point where officers chose hatred over humanity. Marcus's daughters, now in law school, study civil rights law with passion inherited from their father's experience. They plan to continue his work, ensuring the next generation grows up in a world where dignity isn't negotiable regardless of skin color. His remarriage to civil rights attorney Diana Washington created a power couple dedicated to systemic change. Their home becomes a gathering place for reformers, strategists, and dreamers who believe America can fulfill its promise of justice for all. The most important lesson from that morning, Marcus tells the gathered police chiefs, is that change is always possible. Those officers gave me a gift, clarity about what needed fixing. Their hatred became the fuel for transformation. He pauses, looking directly at the cameras broadcasting this speech worldwide. If this story moved you, if it gave you hope that change is possible, then share it. Share it with your community, your family, your police department. Comment below about your own experiences with injustice or moments when you've seen good triumph over evil. The crowd applauds as morning traffic flows past, life continuing its rhythm around this monument to accountability. School buses pause at red lights, children pressing faces against windows to see the famous gas station where their world began changing. Subscribe for more stories proving that justice can prevail when good people refuse to stay silent. Follow us for updates on police reform efforts happening in your neighborhood right now. Your engagement helps these important stories reach people who need to hear them. Marcus straightens his jacket. The same Navy suit, repaired and strengthened like his faith in justice. Remember, dignity is not negotiable, justice is not optional, and change is always possible when good people choose to act. The morning sun climbs higher, illuminating a world where the worst moments become foundations for the greatest achievements, where hatred transforms into hope and where one man's humiliation becomes humanity's elevation. Sometimes the most important revolutions begin at gas pumps in broad daylight, witnessed by cameras that never lie and hearts that refuse to forget. Change is possible. Justice is achievable. Hope is real. The revolution continues, one conversation at a time.
The story you heard today wasn't cleaned up. It was told exactly as it happened. At Black Voices Uncut, we believe that's the only way truth can live. If you felt something, hit like, comment, and your reaction, and subscribe. Every week, we bring you voices that refuse to be silenced.